Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art Medicine Voyage. My name is Alexis Cohen, and I'm your host. And I'm so excited to introduce you to our next guide, Krista Cloutier, aka the Artist Whisperer. Krista is an international visual storyteller, artist, and educator, and she's the founder of The Working Artist, a unique online business experience for artists and other creatives. Through her program, Krista has served artists in over 70 countries. She's taught and lectured throughout the world, helping aspiring artists to take the steps necessary to become working artists and established artists to up their game. Please check out the rest of Krista's bio because there's a lot of juiciness there. And I just want to welcome you, Krista. Hi, welcome.
Hi, Alexis. Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here.
Yay.
I've been looking forward to this all day. Yay.
Yay.
So here we go. We're on the Art Medicine Voyage.
We are, and today's all about answering the call to adventure. So so actually we're just going to jump into your practice because I know it's robust, and we'll talk as we're moving through it.
Okay.
So why don't I'm going to hand it over to you to guide us through this this process that we're about to go through.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to start by saying, what is an artist? Because I think a lot of people get hung up there. You know, I work in crafts. Am I an artist? I haven't gone to art school. Am I an artist? To me, the definition of an artist is a meaning maker. We make things and then we imbue it with meaning. So that can be a song, that can be something that you make with your hands. It can be anything, really. It's about the intention behind it. And intention is a really big word for me in my practice. I love the word intention. So for this voyage that we're taking, this journey, this adventure, I want us to set an intention. And I'm going to get to that in the second step. We're going to take a step back for the first step. But what I've done is I've created the 10-step process to working as an artist. We're going to use this process for our adventure right now. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to have paper and pen because I'm going to make you do some work for each of the steps. And like I said, the first step is going to be a step backwards, and it's going to be a step back in time. Because what I'd like you to do is to connect with the first time you felt that spark inside you, that spark of creativity, the one that, you know, eventually grew into a flame, hopefully that's guiding you now. But when did that happen? And I know for some artists, it was like the first time they heard applause. Maybe it was the first time you won a prize for your drawing. For me, it was when Mrs. Bigler gave me a book that said, I hope to see your poems in print one day. And I realized that someone thought I was a poet. So, and other artists, they say they were born this way, which is absolutely fine. But take a step back, connect with that part of you, the earliest memory you have of your creative spark. How old were you, Alexis, when you first felt it?
The story that came through, I was in third grade, and it was what came through. So my first art is writing. And I wrote a story with two friends, and we would kind of round robin it. Like I'd have it for a while and then I would give it to them. And I think we did it throughout the entire year. And what I was writing about is like just the power of storytelling and how we were able to create our own world, and it connected us as well.
Oh, that's lovely. I think it's so important to go back and connect with these times when we were younger, because the real world can really strip our identity away. You know, who do you think you are to call yourself an artist? You haven't got this, you haven't got that. You know, you're not a writer because you haven't published. There's all these kinds of barriers. But if we go back, we start to remember that being an artist is who we are. It's not just what we do, it's who we are. And if you can connect with that, it really centers you as you move forward on this journey. So the next step on the journey is setting the course. So now we're going to start moving forward. But before we actually move, we're going to identify what it is. What is our intention? For this particular adventure that we're taking right now, I want you to identify something that you want to accomplish. Is it a dream? Is it a creative project? Is it a financial goal? Is it, maybe it's still vague, maybe it's just a feeling, but if you could identify that feeling, I want to feel more accomplished. Maybe it's a financial goal. What is something that you really, 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 really want to do, have, or experience that we could workshop through today? And I want you to start the sentence, I really want to, and then finish that. Are you able to share what yours is?
Yeah, I mean, I have two, but what came through is I really want to produce a short animated film based on one of my stories.
Cool. Oh, that's great. Okay, so now this might sound a little morbid, but close your eyes and imagine what life would look like if you chose not to take action on your aspiration. So this is for everybody. What would your life look like if you chose not to follow this dream? And I want you to consider what kind of impact that would have. What would your life look like in 1 year if you chose not to do this? What kind of impact would it have in 3 years? And keep your eyes closed, but take a deep breath, deep cleansing breath, because now I want you to imagine what life could look like if you did take action, if you did see this through. What would that look like? How would that feel? How would it impact your life now, a year from now, 3 years from now? Really try to step into it. Okay, now grab your pen. And Alexis, it was pretty easy to see which path you're going to choose because you broke out in a smile when you were envisioning it. So underneath where you wrote, I want you to write, I choose to. I choose to. And write down what you decided. I know when I started the Working Artist Masterclass, it was so overwhelming to think of everything I would have to do to make it happen that I just kept saying no. And then someone took me through this exercise and I realized that I couldn't look myself in the mirror 3 years from now if I didn't say yes? And what I've learned, it's just a step. Every day is just another step. You don't have to worry about all of that. You just deal with what's in front of you every single day. So the third step on the journey is not everyone's favorite step, but it's a very real step, and that's facing your fears. I believe in a monster, and I call this monster not enough. And I think anytime we hear that voice of doubt, the voice of the monster, he's always telling us not enough. There's not enough money. You know, you don't have enough time. You're not young enough. You're not talented enough. You're not educated. It's always a not enough around whatever it is that is scaring us and threatening us. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, that and what you were saying too of like, so this has always felt like such a big project, and just doing that exercise just now, there was all the pressure came off of it. It was just like, just play, just, you know, it's like that, yes, just saying yes. And, you know, especially in the day we're in, it's like activating the adventure just simply with a yes, you know, so that it took the pressure off. Like, oh, I just get to move in that direction at whatever pace feels good, really.
Absolutely. And the monster's going to come up. He'll pop up a lot. You know, you're not enough. There's not enough. There's blah, blah, blah. So what I want you to do is just list right now 3 ways, because when we shine a light on the monster, he basically goes away because he's a liar, right? And at this moment, we have everything we need for what we need to do next. We don't have to worry about all those things the monster's scaring us with. So for the moment, list 3 things that the not enough monster is using to frighten you. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And now let's list 3 reasons why you know you can succeed. In fact, why you will succeed. In fact, this might be a good time to go back and cross out everything the not enough monster said, since they don't really matter. And it's usually not our voice. It's not our intuition. It's voices from the past, from other people, the media.
It was really interesting with that. I noticed that the reasons why I will succeed are the other side of the coin of what the monster said. Like, so
Really?
yeah, so it's like the monster was kind of pointing to where I needed a little power bump, like a little acknowledgement that, you know, like, so the not enough monster was saying you're not a good enough visual artist, and then the reason I will succeed is because I'm a good visual artist. Like, it was
Right.
like, kind of like,
Yeah.
this is next level. So yeah, no, that was really cool. It's like, just, yeah, the other side
Good.
of the coin.
Yeah, because he's a liar. He's a liar.
Liar!
So we've taken a step back. We've collected ourselves and set our intention. We've faced the fears. And now we're going to start moving forward decisively. And so this is the 4th step, and it's developing your craft. And no matter what kind of artist we are, it's so important to ground ourselves in craft, in excellence, in the quality of the work you do. It's the most important thing. And craft is born from practice. And practice demands time and focus, right? A lot of us are really challenged by a lack of time, a lack of resources, money, energy, whatever. A lot of artists, I see this again and again, this is where they get stopped. Oh, I can't afford it. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I don't have the, it's easy to do. I don't have all the answers right here for everybody. It's hard. It's not like I can go in and fix this for everyone, but I can tell you that everyone has gone through it, myself included. We are all challenged with resources and with time. I have 2 tricks that I've used that have helped me and have helped the artists who work with me a lot. So I'm going to share them with you. The first trick is, one of the monsters is a busy monster. I was an art dealer for a long time, and I was super, super busy. I was in charge of everything, the studio and the sales. I was traveling all the time, blah, blah, blah. Every time someone called me, hey, how you doing? I always said, I'm busy. I'm really busy. That was how I define my life as just busy. And to be honest, I didn't really want to talk to people because I was just too busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go out on the weekends because I was too busy. And I realized that this word was not a good word, was not a healthy word. So one year for New Year's Eve, I made a resolution that I was going to take that word out of my vocabulary for a year. And it shifted my energy completely. It was the most transformative year. So in your notebook, I want you to write the word busy in capital letters. And then cross it out. And really look at it and commit that visual to memory. And while you're looking at the word busy crossed out, make a vow to yourself. If time is a problem for you, take the word busy out of your vocabulary. Tell yourself you're just not going to use it anymore to describe yourself or your time. It's a good word for a bee, but it's not a good word for a person. It really disconnects us, and this will have a powerful effect on your energy and your time. So the other assignment in your notebook has to do with money. I want you to write the word broke. That's a word I hear artists use a lot. A lot of us are really challenged financially. Write the word broke really small, because that's how it feels to be broke, doesn't it? It feels small. And then cross that word out. And make a vow to remove the word broke from your vocabulary. I mean, when you think about it, the word broke is a horrible way to describe ourselves. It has so many other really negative connotations, and money does not define you, right? At all. You're never broken. You are whole. So I think we need to take this word broke just out of our vocabulary. I like the word challenged. Broke stops you, right? There's nowhere to go from broke. Challenged is like, okay, how am I going to work around this? How am I going to overcome this? And for this kind of journey, you're going to have challenges like time and resources, like money. So choose to see yourself as challenged and work around these things rather than stopped. Because artists get stopped where they want to be stopped. It's not the outside world that stops us. It's really us. So hopefully these 2 little tricks will help you energetically around time and money.
I love that.
And
the busy
go
thing.
deeper into your craft. Yeah?
Yeah, the busy thing. I could relate to that. Like the first few years that I was building my business, that was the word. And it was almost like keeping everything and everyone at arm's distance, because I was doing this thing. And I remember going on a vacation and just being like, I feel so far away from my life and my people, and so I just love that. And I just got very aware that I was using that word all of the time. And it's a connection killer.
It is a connection killer. Yeah. And real magic happens in real life. When I was an art dealer, I was selling art on the phone and on the internet. So I thought that that's where real life was happening. And it was when I stepped away that interesting things started happening.
Yeah.
And we forget that. We give way too much power to the online world and not enough to real life. And especially after the pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I have gotten very weird around people. I mean, I have been to some social events and I'm like, I forgot how this is supposed to work. And forget it. I'm never getting my foot into another pair of high heels. I've gone feral. You know, it's not going to happen anymore. So, yeah. But real life connections are really where the magic is. And also for your craft too. You really have to put that time in to your craft. And it is easy to give too much attention to other things and not be able to devote that time, which leads to our fifth step, because equal with craft to an artist is finding your voice. Every artist has a unique voice. And I really think that the point of the adventure, of the journey that we choose, is to find that voice, because our voice keeps changing. It keeps getting more and more elevated. It becomes more and more clear. It becomes more and more loud. If we're doing our work right, it becomes better and better and better. So that's what this journey is about. It's taking you to find your voice in a bigger and better way. So it's going to come slowly as you grow and as you work. It's not something that's just going to, you can order from Amazon, put it on your front door. It's going to transform as you transform. A lot of artists tell me that they think their work speaks for themselves, it speaks for itself. And it doesn't. It really doesn't. And so that's why I talk about your voice. It's great to have a lot of craft, a lot of talent in terms of your craft, but if you don't have ideas behind it, or some sort of sensibility behind it, or some sort of philosophy behind it, you're going to have a hard time attracting your audience and keeping them. Your voice is just so important. And it's also going to guide you as you make your decisions. It's going to guide you as you try to find your audience. It's going to guide you as you write your artist statement. I remember when I was starting out as a writer, I'd moved to London and I wanted to write, and I had a friend who worked for the Wall Street Journal, and he came to town and he introduced me to some big magazine publisher, like some new magazine was starting. He was like, this would be perfect. So, we met, we sat down to dinner, and she said, so I hear you're a writer. What do you write about? And I went, I totally blew the opportunity because I didn't have an answer to that question. What's my work about? And I see this happen again and again with artists. We have that elevator pitch opportunity. We've got those 3 seconds to make an impression and we got nothing to say. And my work speaks for itself. That's not an answer. So for this step, keeping your project in mind, or your dream or your intention for this journey, what is your work about? Now, some artists will say it's about my feelings. I don't think that's enough. I think you need to go deeper with that. What about your feelings? Your feelings about what? And if it's about beauty, that's great. If it's about your craft, that's good too. But I want words. And see if you can do it in one sentence or maybe two.
This is such a great process.
What did you get?
So
What's your
clarifying.
work about, Alexis?
Yeah, I'm like that. Okay, that's what creative bravery. My stories are about creative bravery, about the two stories that are kind of swirling that I've written that I'm thinking about animating are about stepping into the unknown and being brave and transcending because of that. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Both of them are that. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Yeah, I know when I started The Working Artist, someone asked me this question, and I said it was showing artists the beauty of the journey as I guide them through it.
Mm.
Creative bravery. So
Mm-hmm.
you reminded me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're at step 6, and this is a fun step, building your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think that confidence is something that someone is born with. You either have it or you don't, like freckles. And it's just not true. It's just not true. Some people are more extroverted. Some people are more comfortable with putting themselves out there. But confidence really comes from doing the work. And it takes time to build confidence. And you really do have to fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
And faking it will help accelerate that process too, much more than owning it. I don't have confidence. I don't have confidence. You're just, that's the not enough monster speaking. I do not have enough confidence, right? So doing the work silences the monster so that you can build that confidence. Mm. So to build your confidence, I want you to list 5 accomplishments, 5 things you're proud of that you've already done. Big or small? Okay, so you've got yours. Now this is going to be weird because at the moment it's just you and me talking, but there's other people watching. So what I'm going to ask you to read your 5 out loud, but what I want the viewers to do is at the same time you're reading yours out loud, I want them to read theirs out loud. So I want everyone to be reading their accomplishments out loud at the same time. And it doesn't matter if we're all doing this at the exact same time, there's that energy there. And really feel the pride when you own it when you read it out loud. Is that okay? Are you okay reading your 5 accomplishments out loud?
Yep, for sure. Okay. 2 half marathons, multimedia show, producing, creating The Butterfly People and the Dreaming Tree, Burning Man performance in front of hundreds, Gathering of the Light Tribe, performance in front of hundreds, building a multiple 6-figure company within 4 years, and my first warrior artist in-person workshop.
Cool. Bravo. Bravo. So you can do anything. And that goes for everybody out there. A lot of times I'll hear artists do this thing that instead of giving themselves credit for something, I mean, you've had some amazing accomplishments, but some of us who are just starting out, like I had my first show, but the only person who bought something was my uncle. Mm-hmm. No, someone bought something. Someone bought something. Let's own that, because that's how we build on it, is showing gratitude for those little things. I always say, don't curse your blessings. Let's bless our blessings, because that's how they multiply. So I'm sure all of those accomplishments, which were some formidable accomplishments, are incredible. you know, at that time, that was a really big risk for you. And you had other accomplishments you had to fall back on and say, wait, I've done this and this and this. And you build up that ladder, right, of confidence until you kind of know you've got this.
Yeah, it's interesting with I love that we're talking about this, because I don't know if this has happened to you, but like after like most of these accomplishments, on the other side of it, it really took me a while to integrate it, because it almost felt like someone else had done it. And so like it took me some time to integrate it so I could step into that confidence of like, okay, I can do this, you know?
Yeah.
Even doing this, I felt, I see this next level where I'm like, ooh, am I going to say all these things? And, you know, so it's definitely a practice, I think, I love what you're saying. Bless your blessings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't curse them.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to an artist who released a workshop online, and she was saying only 3 people signed up. And I said, let's bless those 3 people. Let's give them everything you can. The first time I ever taught the working artist, I used to teach in person. The first time was in a closet in a gallery. You know, it was like horrible. And 3 people showed up. And you know what? I mean, that was what, 6, 7 years ago. Those 3 people and I are still really tight. They have amazing careers. They launched me. I launched them, and they launched me in a way. And I'm so glad that I blessed them, instead of, because I was thinking, oh, 40 people will show up. You know, how are we going to get them all in this closet? This can't possibly be right. You're going to put us in here. But no, it was just 3. But thank God for those 3. They were the right 3.
Yeah, same. When I started in person, those first workshops or talks were like, yeah, one to 6 people. And
Yeah.
yeah, you just serve them so deeply. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
I had one guy once. It was just one guy, and he fell asleep.
It's relaxing. It's relaxing to be with you.
We went out for coffee. That seemed like the thing to do. I was so mortified. Okay, next step. So that was step 6. So we've worked on our craft, we've worked on our voice, we're developing our confidence, and now we have to start building grit. This is a really essential step on the journey.
Yes.
There's 2 words that I like to associate with this step. It's tenacity and audacity. So tenacity is grit. It's that decision to never quit. And this is really essential for all artists, because you don't have a lot of support. You really have to rely on yourself. You really have to get yourself into the studio. You really have to give yourself the to-do list, keep yourself accountable. There's no one else that's going to do that for you. And what's the one quality that all successful people share? It's the tenacity to not quit, no matter what. And audacity is the jump. It's that leap of faith. It's when you wrote down, this is what I want to do. I want to do these I want to animate my books, animate my stories. That's audacious. To say you're going to create something, to say you're going to be an artist, that's audacious. To take any kind of risk is audacious. And you have to have the courage to do it. And it's beautiful. I think audacity and tenacity are the 2 most beautiful words in the language, because they make things happen. So with this project that you've identified, I want everyone to get out their paper and ask themselves, have you shown audacity yet? Have you taken any steps forward yet? Where are you in this process? And write down in your notebook, the next step I'm going to take is. So it doesn't matter if you've taken that jump yet or not. What are you going to do next?
Mm.
So we've talked a little bit about tenacity. It's the grit to keep moving forward, even when it's really freaking hard
Mm-hmm.
and you want to quit or you can't possibly see how to continue, but you do. And where does tenacity come from? I think it comes from our choices.
Mm.
We can choose to stop or we can choose to find a creative solution. So again, going back to this project or goal or feeling that you're working with for this project, I want you to close your eyes again for a second, project yourself forward in time, and see what that future looks like when you have tenaciously seen it through to the end. See the benefits that this could bring to your life. See the benefits it could bring to others. And I want you to take a breath in, inhale and hold the breath. Feel the pride of accomplishment of seeing it through. Feel that pride. Pretend you're already there and you've accomplished this. Now, hold your breath just a second longer and multiply that feeling times 100 and let it go with an ah. Ah. And let's do it again. Inhale, feel the pride of accomplishment. See yourself having accomplished this. You've done it. Hold it, multiply it times 1,000 and let it go with an ah. Does that feel good?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have you just write an affirmation in your notebook that says, I choose to take the steps as they're revealed. Because you don't have to have it all figured out right now.
Mm.
You know what your next step is. If you choose to continue to take the steps as they're revealed, you'll get there.
You know what, as you're sharing that, Krista, of the next steps, I like what's coming to mind, like the steps that came through, it's like, it doesn't feel linear. And I remember when I first, years ago, like when I, like 15 or so or more years ago, where it hit me, I'm an artist. Like it was this like activation. Like I was like really claiming that for myself. And it was like I came alive. And I share this with my community too. The next step that I heard on that path was to become a birth doula. and I and to learn about creativity. And I remember people in my life were like, "You just said you're not, like, what are you? What's happening?" I'm like, I'm following the stuff I heard, and
Yeah.
doing that work unblocked me as an artist, actually, because I learned about grit from the
Right.
women and discomfort and opening to creativity but like it was such just like speaking to like just really trusting the step that you're hearing, because it might not make like sense,
Right.
and I just got another one of those, like when I'm like, okay, this is
Oh, wonderful.
yeah, cool.
Yeah. When I decided to start working as an artist, I got the guidance to teach the Working Artist Masterclass because I'd been an art dealer for so long. And it's like, but wait a minute. And then I started meeting those mean people who say, well,
Yeah.
those who can do and those who can't teach.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I've never, why did I get this guidance? Because the universe is telling me I'm not an artist? No, it's because I have something to share.
Yeah.
And because this is how I'm going to build my community.
Yep.
And I'm going to participate at a different place than I thought I was going to. And for you to be a birth doula, I mean, it's the ultimate creativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Giving birth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So listen to those voices, listen
Mhm.
to those voices,
Cool.
which of course leads to the eighth step, which is the step everybody hates, but you can't skip it. And that is the step of failure.
Mm.
And I say fail big, fail often.
Mm.
Um, I was speaking to an artist named Vic Muniz, I think he's listed as one of the top 10 photographers in the world. And he said that, I mean, he's like the ultimate of success, right? Museum shows everywhere, a bunch of books published, sold out shows. But he said, I have failed so much in my career that now when I succeed, I say, oh, I failed to fail that time. Isn't that great?
That's awesome. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a way to laugh at the failure, but especially for artists, it's not this, we have this belief, oh, I'm an artist one day and the next day I'm supposed to be, at this gallery, I'm supposed to be doing that. No, you're supposed to get knocked to your knees, and get up again, because that's part of the journey. You have to learn that. You have to develop that grit. You have to take in these lessons. You have to course correct. You have to fail. Every single artist fails again and again and again. So artists who let failure stop them are not reaching their full potential. They're getting in their own way, basically. So failure is an important step. I think it's really important, though, to remember that the universe always has the last word on things. So something that I might have labeled a failure could turn out to be my greatest success later.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should be really careful with labels. Again, it's about cursing your blessings. You just don't know. I think it's important to watch your need to control outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
This is really an area where we're listening to a lot of voices. We have to trust the guidance. Sometimes it's long-term. Things we're doing now are planting seeds for years down the road, or to help someone else that we can't even see right now. So just do the work, show up, and allow
Mm-hmm.
things to unfold how they're supposed to. And those times when you find yourself on your ass, get up, wipe it off, get back to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Grit is so important. And the failure. Yeah. Yes. Fail big. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, failure happens. So, but what's the impact that you're going to allow it to have?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a really important thing to do that is really helpful with failure is asking yourself, how do you define failure?
Yeah.
Because it's another not enough monster out there. It's just kind of, you're going to fail. Maybe you're a failure. Maybe, it's this horrible thing, but what does it even mean? If we don't shine a light on it, it's just this ominous dark cloud. So I believe that failure is not trying.
Yeah, me too.
Or giving up.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that success is growing and learning and falling forward when you fall, falling into the problem and finding a solution.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this would be a good place for everyone to write down or to think about, how do you define failure?
Yeah.
How did you define failure, Alexis?
I have the same definition as you, giving up and not trying. And yeah, because I agree. Like even like as an artist, a couple of things, like just thinking of this one commission that I did, that it was so painful to create. Like I didn't like it. I felt like I failed her. It was just a really painful painting to create because I was in that dialogue with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it to her and she loved it. And it was this lesson that you're talking about, like, oh, this wasn't for me. This
Right.
wasn't for me. This was hers. And that was really huge. And then another thing is, I'm just thinking about creating a business, like so many failures in that experience. And when I've been willing to really deeply take the lesson, I like never do it again. And I, you know, like it's like I really take it in and what you're saying, course correct. So by the time it rolls around again, I know where to go. And like, so the more failures, like I know where to go next time, you know, and it gets more and more clear, and that confidence builds more and more that you were talking about.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so now we're on step 9, which is a lot more fun than failure. But this is where we bring it together to share with the world. In the Working Artist Masterclass, I say something pretty harsh. I say artist communication because I believe that. I believe that you can make the most incredible painting in the world, but if you put it under the bed and no one ever sees it, it's not art. It's paint on canvas. That's my belief. I think art needs to have an audience to complete the conversation. So it's important to ask yourself, how are you going to share your work? Who are the people in your audience? Who are the people in the community where you live and work? Because other people are a part of your creative path. Art doesn't live in a vacuum, so it's really important to know who your audience is. And some artists, well, I see this a lot. I ask my artists all the time, like, who's your audience? And they're like, everybody. No, rich people. Let's narrow it down, but let's more. So I think if you understand who your people are for your work, you're going to have a much easier time marketing it, because you're going to understand what they want to know about, and you're going to understand the right kind of language to use. You're going to know where to find them. So don't try to appeal to everyone. Do try to niche, do try to narrow it down. I've got some questions for your notebook that might help you to identify your audience.
Chris, I have a quick question before we do, we do that. So I know there's a bunch of people in our community that maybe they're right now just picking up a paintbrush for the first time, or it's like their first, it's their first calling into even playing in the space. So for those folks, like at this time, like I know for me, my audience became my mom. Like once I just needed someone to witness it. Like so but I'm just wondering, for the people that are feeling very private because it's super brand new, what would you say to them?
I would say keep working, and find those people you trust first to share your work with. And you don't have to do it right away. You know, when you build your confidence, and the confidence comes through work, right? Remember, this is step 9. We didn't start sharing it with an audience in step 2. We waited till step 9 out of 10 steps. I think too many artists rush to market. Oh, I've painted something, now I'm going to be a career artist. That's a little soon. That's why we work to our craft. That's why we work to our voice. Finding your audience takes time. But I think for people who are just starting out, you might not be able to answer the questions that I'm going to ask, but now your antenna is going to be up. And I want you to start paying attention, because these questions will give you clues about your audience when you are ready to share your work.
Totally.
So in your notebook, just make some notes. Who has supported your work in the past? And tell me about them. And maybe note how they found you too. You know, some of my artists, I'll talk to them about their audience, and they seem to only really attract people in person. Other people only online. I mean, and if you haven't sold art yet, like what kind of audience is your art aimed at? And I'm thinking specifically, I'm thinking of like political art, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you were making like really strong left-wing political statements with your art, you wouldn't be marketing it to people with really strong right-wing beliefs, right? You know who your audience is there. So just, you know, art that's about the environment. Think
Mm-hmm.
about that. Who are the other people who have those kinds of interests? What kind of organizations? Where are you going to find them? How are they going to find you? Here's another question. What kind of people do you have the best conversations with?
Mm-hmm.
Who are they and what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of things do you talk about? I'm not saying that these are the answers, but I'm saying that they're very big clues. And what kind of people, when someone says, oh, I really like that, when people get your work, what are they responding to? What is it that they respond to when people admire your work? How did that feel for you? Did that shine any light on your audience, or did you already feel like you had a handle on your audience?
Well, it's so beautiful because it's refining it. It's you know, like maybe I touched on it like a while ago, but it's like, oh yeah, this is, you know, this is what is happening. This is what I've been doing, you know? So yeah, it really defined it. Like I feel like all my work, all my art is, and I set this intention years and years ago that, it was in service to the Great Mother, to the Divine Feminine, and that my work was the doorway for the audience to feel unconditional love, like that they feel like the love of the mother through whatever it is that I'm creating. So, you know, so it's like women, healers, people who are really needing that in their life.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah.
So now we're on the 10th step.
Yeah.
And it's something that's been with us all along. I call the 10th step walking in faith. And I think the whole journey is really about faith. And what is faith? Faith is the opposite of anxiety. I have to remind myself that all the time when I'm having, you know, those anxious moments. I think of anxiety is not enough when he's had a few drinks, right? It gets out of control. That voice just becomes too loud and too overwhelming. So faith is the opposite. It feels like enough. You know, you are enough. You know, you have enough. You know, you do enough. You know, you will be enough for this project or whatever. So faith is how you began the journey when you wrote down the words of what you wanted to do, and you build your faith through every step. So I'm just because I like this. I like how faith is there. So in your first step, it took faith to claim the artist you are, to be yourself in a world that pushes for sameness, which is so true. In the second step, only the faithful answer the call to adventure, right? You couldn't always see the way, but you learn to trust your inner compass with that second step. And in the third step, where you faced your fears, that's faith in action. You faithfully developed your craft and you faithfully developed your voice. In step 6 and step 7, as your confidence grew, you took bigger chances and you faced down the obstacles and the monsters with faith and with grit. Failure, step 8, is where faith found you on your knees. And you learn that faith is always there when you ask, always. And then you shared what you learned on your journey with others. I call them the faithful. And now we've come full circle. Faith is the last step because the journey is a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know this from listing all of your accomplishments, you've done this journey before. What we do as artists is we take the journey again and again and again. We just go higher and higher. We have bigger and bigger dreams. We build on what we've done before.
Mm-hmm.
But it always takes that leap of faith. It always takes, oh, I know I've done all that, but that's pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I can do that. You have to find the faith again. But the more times you jump, the more times you take that leap of faith, the deeper the transformation will be. And it will be reflected in your work. It will be reflected in your life and in yourself.
Krista, this process is so beautiful.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. What a gift.
Okay, we've got one last assignment here.
That's right.
Because everything starts with an intention, and with the power of your focus today, you have set a very powerful intention. So I want to seal it, okay? Mm-hmm. So I want you to look at the piece of paper or notebook or wherever you've been writing, where all your words are, and I want you to smile at it really big, because you have totally got this. And I want you to stay open to the support, the messages, and the guidance that are going to come. And they will come as you undertake this journey. So feel it, smile at it, give thanks for it, even before you see it, because you're on your way. Enjoy the ride.
Krista, thank you for this. This is so beautiful. And dear viewer, if you would like to jump in the Creative Empowerment Facebook group, we will be there to witness you. Maybe it's your first moment of sharing a piece of art. If you're in step 9, or you just want to share what has opened up for you, we are there to support you, to witness you. So hop in there. And Krista, thank you so much for this amazing session. And I know you have even more for our beautiful people. Would you like to share your free gifts or how to connect with your offerings?
I do. If you go to theworkingartist.com, at the bottom, there's a little sign-up bar. Join my mailing list, and I give tons of free resources and information and inspiration to artists to help them on their journey. Lots of free tools, and I never spam you or share your email address with anyone. That's mine.
We're going to nurture that.
That's just between us, yeah. But thank you so much, Alexis, and for everybody for going through this with me and having the courage to do it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Krista. Thank you so much for being part of our voyage and guiding us. And dear art medicine maker, please stay tuned for the next journey, the next training, and we'll see you soon. Bye.